What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix, and it's time to talk about live service gaming. Now, talk about the type of video games that I hate. Look, man, I don't like MMOs. I don't like MMOs, RPGs. I never did. I've played some of them. I used to play RuneScape when it came out back in the day in the 2000s. I played, World of Warcraft a little bit, but I've never been a fan of live service gaming because I don't like the idea of playing a video game forever and ever and ever with no story ending. I am a person that's very story driven. I like my stories. This is why I'm a very RPG type of person. I like Final Fantasy. I like, action adventure games, Kingdom Hearts. Those have always been kind of like my go-to games, right? I like God of War, games that are very story driven. And yeah, I know, like online games also have, a story mode or whatever, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. So look, let's start with AAA games, right? Because AAA games are dying. AAA games are dying. We all know. AAA games take too long, and studios like Square Enix struggle for the simple fact that they don't get a return on investment for a high budget game, right? So they spend years making a game, right? A AAA game, 5 years, 7 years, even. Sometimes I think Kingdom Hearts 3 took like 10 years to make, which is, I think, is absolutely freaking ridiculous. Like 3 years. Back in the day, Square Enix would release like one Final Fantasy game per year, and now it's been like every 2 years, every 3 years. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's gotten so ridiculous now that um, I think a lot of people are just starting not to care anymore. The Square Enix has lost fans. They have lost fans. I mean, they haven't lost me because I'm always up for Final Fantasy, but they have lost quite a lot of fans in the last few years, right? AAA games are well, studios that make AAA games are finding out that better graphics don't necessarily help sell video games, right? Just because your game, your action game plays at 4K, 2K, that's not a selling factor anymore because now everybody has freaking 4K, right? Most people can afford a 4K device, laptop, computer, cell phone, whatever. Most people have that nowadays, so people don't really care. It's like now people are kind of like over with graphics. Me personally, I thought that the PlayStation 4 was good enough for graphics, for like video game graphics. I really didn't see it becoming even more and more and more realistic, but I was wrong. Once we got the Unreal Engine 5 and the PS5, I mean it's gone above and beyond. So I am kind of like sick and tired of super duper realistic graphics, and I am willing to settle for like Hi-Fi Rush type of video game graphics. Like I'm literally thinking of like just saying like let's go back to the PS3, the PS2 era, where like you have a game like Kingdom Hearts 2 or like Final Fantasy 10, where like the graphics were just like realistic enough, or like they look good enough, they look satisfying enough, and then like the rest of the game was just super duper fun. It just had really great gameplay, you know. And Final Fantasy 16 was a good game. It was a good, wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't the most memorable game. And Final Fantasy 16 was really Square Enix trying to push for better graphics, right? Because if you play your Final Fantasy 16, it's you know the game was the battles of Final Fantasy 16 were cinematic. It was a cinematic type of game. That's why you have a lot of cutscenes, a lot of talkings, and just that was the focus of Final Fantasy 16. That's why you have like what 15 hours worth of like cutscenes. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's too much. It's just way too much. It kind of gets on your nerves. I had to like skip when I first played the game. I had to like skip certain parts because it was just taking so long, right? So I think people are just getting sick and tired of long scenes, and they just want more gameplay now. AAA games are competing with live service games that people can access right now. And I mean, think about it. AAA game takes what? 5, 7 years to make. In a live service game, you can access it right now. Gaming studios want to put more focus on live service games because they are more profitable. Why spend millions of dollars building a AAA game that pays you once when a live service game pays you multiple times? Everybody's stuck playing Genshin Impact and Fortnite. You can't blame companies like Square Enix for wanting to get into the live service gaming, although I don't really like that, but I can't really blame them as a business. Uh, you know, why blame them? Everybody prefers to play Fortnite and Genshin Impact and World of Warcraft and whatever else, Final Fantasy 14. When Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth came out for the PlayStation 5, people didn't go and rush to the store to buy a PlayStation 5. No, they said screw it. I don't want to buy a PS5. I'm just gonna keep playing, Fortnite or Genshin Impact, and I'm gonna wait for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth to come out on PC, which is what I'm doing, right? And this is it's just that this is not the 2000s anymore. We're not in the 2000s when releasing a AAA game was a big deal and people would buy a console even if their rent was past due. I'm serious, by the way. There's people that do that. I'm serious. Now, with live service gaming, people don't have to wait. They level up their characters and make friends online until the end of time. So while Square Enix spends 5 freaking years to make the next hit Final Fantasy AAA game, everyone is playing Genshin Impact or Final Fantasy 14. So let's face it, it's about convenience. Also, it's not about console gaming anymore. Console gaming is dead. Console gaming is dead. Everybody, has a mobile device or a computer. And most computers can run simple games with regular graphics. So I really do believe that the PC is the future, which means the depth of AAA games. Now, I want to read you guys this article before we close out because I read that this is coming from VG Charts. It says 95% of studios are reportedly developing or maintaining live service games. It says 95% of video game studios are developing or maintaining a live service game, according to the 2023 Game Development Report from Griffin Game Partners. It says the report surveyed 537 studios from around the world and found that 66% of developers agree that live services are necessary for long-term title success. It also states that development on traditional games takes 2 to 3 years, while live service games take over 5 years. Yeah. So well, hold on, 3 years? Yeah, 2 to 3 years. Nah, it takes longer than that. For traditional games, takes well. If it's for PlayStation 5 or like the Xbox Series X, it takes longer than that. 3 years, my ass. And then here's another article from GameSpot.com. It says 60% of all playtime in 2023 was spent on live service games, more than 6 years old. So that means like games that were developed, 6 years ago, like 60% of all playtime from gamers around the world are spent on those games. So that will be like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, you name it, all around the world, big industry. So, why spend so much money on AAA games when, they could just focus more on live service games? It's just logic. So I think what a lot of studios, or what I suggest studios do, is to make double A games for PC and all platforms, and then keep working on their live service games because that's what most people play. But I would like to see an alternate, kind of like a side Final Fantasy game. Like, do you guys remember Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles? A game like that. That it was like not part of the main series of Final Fantasy games, but like a side Final Fantasy game. That's a double A game. Okay, I want to see more of that. So, that's just my thoughts on it. This is what I would like to see in the gaming industry. But yeah, I think this is what live service gaming has somewhat ruined the gaming industry, where like a lot of the traditional things are being left behind, and really it's up to Nintendo to keep it traditional and nobody else but Nintendo, right? And yeah, live service game seems to be the future. And we're still gonna get some AAA games here and there, some AA games here and there, but the main focus is gonna be like the big shots, get the Genshin Impacts of the world, the Fortnites of the world. That's gonna be the main focus because they're free. They're free and they don't cost anything to start playing. That's a great thing about it. It doesn't cost much to start playing, Fortnite. It doesn't cost much to start playing, Genshin Impact. So I'm gonna leave it there. And whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. Guys, it's your boy Animatrix. Godspeed, baby.